Okay, this is 6:30 on December 8th, 2025. We will call the meeting to order. Ms. Chisholm will lead us in the prayer.
Pray with me. Go ahead.
I come before you tonight with a grateful heart, grateful for the school and the community and the opportunity to serve with these other board members. I ask that you grant us open hearts and open minds tonight. Help us speak with wisdom and make the best decisions we can for the district. Please continue to bless the school and community and the kids that go here and the adults who graciously serve. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
You can, that's me. I try to go around the table so I don't skip.
Too many
anybody.
Chisholms around here.
And I just remember, I did the last one, so I was like, who's next to me? So, unless Mr. Coulter wants to do that, still, and then lead the prayer the next meeting, and then we'll score.
I'm happy to. I can say this, though, my batting average is not all that good. Yeah, I can't tell that my prayers have that much effect. I'm happy to try.
We'll go to public comments.
There are none.
None, okay. And we will move on to the principal report.
Student enrollment, we have gained one student since we last met. So that puts us to a new high total of 188. So that's a good thing. Since we've met, we hosted the Veterans Day program with a reception following our yearly program. It's good. Kids did a good job. It was kind of fairly well attended. We'd like more about it. You were working that day. You were gone that day. Yeah. So it's kind of hit or miss when you get people there and are not there, but it was good. It's a good program. So that was good. We did complete our interim assessments before Thanksgiving in RLA and mathematics. I met with teachers. Most of our students are in the meets masters area with a few approaches. Data looked really, really good. So very pleased there. We hosted the big Thanksgiving Day lunch that we do every year. 18, 20 to 24 pound turkeys cooked. And Miss Lenora's last undertaking, but really, really great to see all the people there and good, very well attended. So it was good. Again, very well, very, very good to open our doors and have our community here, and which we get to do sometime. Speaking of opening our doors, we had our community and our neighbors here last week. I saw several of you here for that, but we hosted elementary, junior high UIL. And that's a 2-day meet. That's 2 fairly long days, but went really well without Angela. Miss Woolley did a great job of organizing and leading things. We had workers and really minimal issues. We did win the district championship in both. Elementary scored 578 points. Junior high scored 1,081. So that even makes it better to host and win. So that was good.
Did we cheat?
Not that I want. So have not been. We had I was talking to Miss Harrison does the results, and there was one little glitch with placing a name or so, but other than that, I think that was the only not a cheating issue, just an error. So went really well. End of the week with obviously football on Friday, which y'all all know about. And we'll get to that here in a little bit. Robotics traveled to Lubbock on Saturday, and they're currently ranked 5th after 2 meets. And you play for a ranking so they could join up at the end and pair up and go. We were 2nd the first meet, 5th this one. It has a whole lot to do. If Keith was here, he could explain it better, but it has a whole lot. You work as teams, and so if your team is not as good, it's all random. So, but they go each week. They go, I think, 2 more times before we start advancing and work all that stuff out. But it's really neat. Band was at Shallow Water for all region auditions. Liam Baldridge did qualify for the 1A, 2A band, which I thought was really, really good. Tate was an alternate, and Tabitha was first alternate. Tabitha was the 3rd, but really good for an 8th grader to make an all-region band and get to go advance and do that with the 1A, 2A schools. And then we had the Lady Jays in the Haskell tournament, won 3 of 4, almost won 4 of 4. If y'all were there on that Thursday night, Hurley? Thursday night, great game, great game. So, a lot better game than the one on Saturday was until the second half, but, it, ebbs and flows, but, they did win 3 or 4 really good there. And obviously, football on Friday was great to get that one out of the way. I think that was, not expected from all of us that it would be that margin. I thought we all thought we would win, but, that's good. And so, all's good there. So really busy week. This week is actually fairly slow. We have a little basketball going on down there right now. I have basketball tomorrow night here at 4, Christmas program at 6, but they'll have a bake sale in the, that Hillary's group has a bake sale in the auditorium at 5:15, before and I think after. And then Thursday during Richmond, our junior high 1-act play, we'll put on a public performance of theirs, and Richmond is at 1:24. And then Friday we have retakes for our seniors are taking pictures. We're taking basketball pictures and retakes on Friday, and then we have basketball against Ira Lady Jays.
Did you say we have a little less busy?
This is way less busy than last week. Last week there was 1 to 2 things every day. So it's just
One thing I would add to that, after the Christmas program on Wednesday, because of the calendar shuffle, we're gonna honor Lenora's retirement at the reception right after the Christmas program, so.
is she aware of that now? Did we make that official to her today?
So, I texted her today
Okay.
and told her that's what we were gonna do. I wanted her to wear clean underwear and brush her teeth, show up.
She committed to that?
She laughed, and she said, "You don't have to do that." And
That's
I think she'll be there.
Okay.
It'll help that she's got grandkids involved in the program.
So that's what we have going on in my world. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Humphries. Next, we'll move on to the superintendent report.
Yeah, as we start every one of these conversations, I draw your attention to the screen. And I know that the middle portion of the slide is a little bit, is busy. But the Commissioner of Education has a monthly Zoom meeting with superintendents across the state. And he delivers what he considers as important remarks in relation to the state of the public schools. I stole that middle portion because what it does is it's sort of a comprehensive over balcony view of where the money comes from that funds schools. We often say we get money from the state, and that sounds like it's just one pile of money that flows. But the money we run this school on is a combination of money that flows from the state, and those little elements there are the funding formulas. So they don't just send one pile of money. They send some money based on the ridership of our buses. They send some money based on our ADA. They send some money based on the number of students we have in career and technology classes, and so on and so forth. And then occasionally we get federal money that flows to us through Title I, Title II, Title IV funds for specific things like special education and those kinds of things. And then from time to time, we also get special grant money. So the state will set aside money for a specific grant to fund a particular kind of program or pilot or initiative. And we get that. And so that's another bucket of money. And then in rare circumstances, you'll end up getting money, grant money from a foundation or a benevolent organization. So occasionally perhaps you might have a university that's doing research or something, and they'll partner with you to do a study of some kind or another. Or you'll have a benevolent or charitable organization. One of the high schools I worked with in Austin, we had a big grant in which we used a veterans organization as tutors and of low performing students. So there was a local philanthropist that threw a bunch of money at that for us to be able to put the program in place. So that money comes in those different deals. I say that to say this: all that money goes to our core function, which is learning. I mean, that's our business. Well, the last time we met, I asked you to spend a little time mapping your intelligences on that grid thing there. And here's the cleaner definition. Dr. Gardner's view that all of us don't have one intelligence. We have 9 different versions of intelligence. And I think about that a lot in relation to trying to look 20 years down the road. I mean, how are my grandkids, how are your kids gonna make a living? And what do we need to be teaching them in order to help them have the best chance to make a living? And so the McKinsey Group, which is an international business consulting firm, put money into research, and they said those are the 4 areas that we see the workplace honoring. That's the currency that's going to be honored in the workplace over the coming years. What does that mean to us? And these are conversations that I have with the folks in this building sometimes, because the coaches are focused on winning football games or basketball games. And the 4th grade teacher is focused on trying to improve math scores. And the 1st grade teacher is trying her dead level best to make sure every kid's reading on grade level. And the ag teacher is doing everything they can. Everyone is focused on their very narrow niche of this enterprise. But it's our job, this team of 8, we have to take the big picture view. What do we need to be doing? What do we need to make sure that the students are taught? And in the skills that they need, and in my way of thinking, even more importantly, how do we want them to think? And how do we want them to behave in ways that will increase the likelihood that they'll be successful, happy, and productive student citizens for a lifetime? So McKinsey and I were having a conversation not too long ago about the U.S. Department of Education recently disincentivizing student loans for some what have traditionally been considered professions. So things like some nursing and some education degrees and some other things that have always required 4-year college degrees, and it was easy to get those Department of Education grants to go to school on. They're disincentivizing those. And I think it's for 2 reasons. Well, first, it's always political. But another piece of it, and I think it's a rational view, is they understand that the marketplace is starving for capable people, for talented and capable people that can get jobs done. So I was looking in the Wall Street Journal a couple of weeks ago, and they had an article about the employment prospects for people that have degrees. And we've had this conversation for years in public schools. You know, what's more important? What should we be asking our kids to do? Pursue an academic degree or pursue a trade? And in my view, and I'm trying to influence your thinking here. As I think about my grandkids, 20 years down the road, I don't think it needs to be an either or conversation. I think it needs to be a yes and conversation. Do you need to pursue an academic degree? Yes. Do you need to pursue a trade or a skill that makes you employable in a very fluid marketplace? Yes. Because I think they're going to have to learn and unlearn and relearn. I mean, there's people sitting at this table that have degrees and they're not using their degree directly for the thing they were trained for. It's happening everywhere. And so the ability for our students to flex to the workplace, I'll go back to the McKinsey thing. If you look at those 4 dimensions, they have to have cognitive skills. They have to be able to think critically, think on their feet, do the calculations, read the room, all that stuff. They have to have the interpersonal skills. They have to know themselves, and they have to be able to flex to people, work for grumpy bosses, and all that kind of stuff, you know, without burning bridges. They have to be able to be self-disciplined, self-directed people, constantly growing themselves, learning more. And they have to be, according to the McKinsey Group, they better be technologically proficient. I don't know if you've had your car in the mechanic shop or even had the oil changed lately, but they're using technology. The plumbers are using technology. The air conditioner people are using technology. airflow in the spaces and all that stuff. And so our kids have to be fluent in those areas. So I say all that to say this, the conversations that you and I have at this table, I think, or as long as I'm with you all, we're going to keep having these conversations because we cannot, here's our role, I believe, in the grand scheme of things, and those of you that have been through board training know it. I mean, our job is to keep the why at the forefront. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? How we can do it better? What's the big picture? The how, you all make it happen in this school depends on the person that you put in this chair right here, because that's the operational person that has to put the nuts and bolts together and the wheels on the wagon. And then the what, the stuff that actually gets done, that gets done in the classroom, gets done on the basketball court, gets done in the ag shop, gets done throughout this building. And as you all know, my view of this is that the people in this building that teach our children are not only the ones that have teacher certification. Our kids learn stuff from Lenora Stanley. They learn stuff from Lacey Scoggin. They learn stuff from the maintenance people. And every one of us are teachers. And I keep saying that to our people too. It's our job to develop the whole child, all 9 dimensions of that person. Okay, enough jabber from me. I'm moving on. My kudos, the things I'm thankful for, and that's on your board agenda. Very quickly, I'm thankful to all of you for your service. I know, I hope it is my intent and desire for you to have a phone ringing far less than it was a year ago. And I consider it part of my job to try to keep your phone from ringing with unsavory stuff. I'm very thankful for Angela Woolley. She did a masterful job, as Jamie spoke to, of organizing the junior high and elementary academic meet. That's a lot of puzzle pieces and a lot of fluidity, and a lot of people that think they know they can do it better than you can, and she handled it with grace and poise. I'm thankful. I've been reminded repeatedly since coming on board here in March of how freely and pleasantly all the teachers and staff jump in and help. I mean, Angela did a great job of organizing, but I mean, we had people moving chairs, we had people escorting kids, we had people judging events, we had people keeping the hospitality room stocked, fluid, going, running. It was just a very, very much a team effort. I'm thankful for Kayla Ragsdale, our nurse. I got an invitation from the Texas Department of State Health Services asking me to be on the West Texas Child Fatality Team. And I said, I don't see how I can do that role. I don't think I can pull that role off. I asked Kayla if she'd be willing to consider it. She said, absolutely. And so, as you can tell by reading the words on that, that's probably not going to be ice cream and cake kind of duty. They put their nose in some pretty ugly situations and try to figure out how best to respond. I'm thankful for Keith Emfinger and his snake wrangling. On those instances when Jamie and I both happened to be off campus, Keith is sort of the guy that's designated to be the one, if something disastrous takes place, you're the guy that's going to help steady the ship and make the decisions to get us through a tricky spot, whether it's the water going off or an active shooter, doesn't matter. Keith does not like snakes, and he freely admits he does not like snakes. And he called me to the front of the gym about 2 months ago one day. He and Coda were standing out there. And when he called my phone, I knew I'd just seen him. I said, what's up? And he said, there's a snake out here. So he and Coda were out in front of the gym and standing about 10 or 12 feet away from a snake. It was a little rattler about this long. And he said, what are you going to do? And I went over, put my foot on it, and I said, well, we're going to kill it. And then Andy walked out the door and he had something and killed the snake. And Keith freely admitted that he thought it was well worth the trouble and money to shoot it with a shotgun and repair the floor later. So yeah, Jamie and I were going, yeah, a week before last for some, both off campus for something, and I got back and Keith told me at breakfast that next morning about having to wrestle an 8-foot anaconda down here in the learning center. It was a little grass snake, but I could tell he's not comfortable with it. I'm thankful for the maintenance team on our, when we have host tournaments and activities like the academic meet, they just did a great job of keeping things serviced and clean. And boy, that academic meet, I don't know if you, junior high and elementary kids from 7 different schools, there's a lot of molecules bouncing around. I mean, a lot of them. And our maintenance staff does a great job. And our maintenance and our faculty and staff who man ticket booth at events, those, when you walk in the gym at a ball game or something, they don't get paid for that. They sign up and freely serve. Thankful. You'll notice a little bit of a different format tonight on my report. I've tried to move more stuff into my report to you, so you'll have to listen to my blather a little less. I'm trying to speed it, my talking up a little bit here. At your placemat, you'll find some information from the Texas Association of School Boards about the benefits of our membership in that and what we gain from it. When I got that packet of information, I noticed that the new executive director of TASB is Dr. Dan Troxel. I met Dan when I left here in 2002 and moved to that 6A high school in Round Rock, because we didn't have a cafeteria there. It was a food court. We had 3,500 kids. And so you had pizza and tacos and salads, and it was a food court. And there were 6 cash registers. And I noticed early on in my service there, because we had 3 lunches of 800 kids. When I was on lunch duty, of those 6 cash registers, there was always a longer line of kids at one cash register. There was not a good reason for that to be happening, because they could check out anywhere they wanted to. So I soon learned that the lady running that cash register was Dan Troxel's mother, Judy Troxel. At the time, she was about 60 years old. She knew those kids by their first name. She knew they had a math test that day. She knew if they had a volleyball game the night before. And they would stand in line longer to pay for their food just to have Miss Judy speak to them. And that's how I met Dr. Dan Troxel. At the time, he was a superintendent at Kerrville ISD, but he's the executive director now of TASB. So here I go, a rapid fire. I'm going to run through my report to you on these different elements. Some of this you've seen in the email transmissions I've given to you, but I'm not going to, if you want to ask me questions about any of it, stop me, feel free. We didn't have any parent comments or feedback in our online portal. You saw the collective learning repository on November 3rd. We had a professional development day for our teachers, and I gently required them to report to everyone what they were learning, because if the adults are not learning better and faster in this organization, then I think we have a problem. Softball baseball complex. Visiting with us tonight from our architects, MWM, is Stephen Druhl and Melanie Meixner. And Stephen sent to me a deck to show you all in this process. And I'm going to pull that up, I think, on the right spot. Yeah. And Stephen, you can get up, talk to us, however you want to handle this. And I'll slide this thing up, down, sideways as you wish.
I appreciate it. And thank y'all for having us. It's been a little bit, I think, since we've been in front of you. A lot of the work that we've been doing lately has just been kind of behind the scenes with a lot of design specialty consultants, lighting consultants, Target Sports, which are kind of overall doing a large analysis of our design and then making recommendations to potentially any adjustments that they see that might be a little bit outside of kind of the ordinary, or it's not standard to what some of the other school districts might be doing. And really also, it's a kind of a collective effort working with FAR construction to make sure that we're on budget, right? Make sure that we're we're tailoring this to that respective budget that's been kind of agreed upon between them and you guys. And so what this is really just a high level overview of the site plan, followed by graphic images that Tarquette has kind of helped us put together to show you a couple different options of what that field might look like, being better striped or non-striped, showing both the Lady Jays and then the boys logo, as well as we've got some seating information from Southern Bleachers where we made some modifications to kind of help reduce the cost. Because once we originally showed a seating plan for about 150 people. I think at one point it was like 200 something people. So now we're targeting kind of think that 75. So we've tailored that down, which ultimately we're just reducing costs, making sure that we're not designing anything more than what we need. And then I think lastly, we show some overall lighting calculations, just to give you kind of a sense of what the lighting levels would be like for that field. So I'll just just kind of run through the plan in a sense. So this, again, we've got baseball still on the top. We've got softball down at the bottom. Some of their recommendations from Tarquette was to try to pull base or softball a little bit closer, align them. Originally, they were, everything was at the same orientation. We then had it a different orientation, slightly farther apart, and it was actually a separate angle from the baseball. So both fields are currently parallel to each other, and kind of both axes from home plate. One of the other things that they recommended was just really trying to reduce the overall concrete footprint that we showed around the facility. So this is kind of that new layout. So really everything that you see kind of in this point, around the dugouts, this field wall that we have here, around the dugout, up to this, throwing area around, that's all concrete. We showed a lot more concrete, I think, from the previous footprint. So it's been an effort between us and Tarquette and FAR, just try to make sure that the amount of concrete that we're showing is kind of covered within that budget. One of the things they also recommended is potentially moving both home sides. So boys' home and girls' home is on that same side. So we've got a double pin on both those sides, whereas the visitors with the storage is down on the opposite ends compared to what they were in the past. So I think the footprint of the concession is still the same. So we've got a concession here in the middle, followed by restrooms for both men and women, and then 2 storage. One's janitor, one's potentially storage for electrical. And then that's really the major changes I think that we've made in terms of the overall field, from just comments back from Tarquette. I don't think there's really any more changes. One of the things that was recommended is potentially kind of a caliche service lane for potential, emergency vehicles, things like that. If there's a player that's injured, so you'll see the dash lines that are represented on both here. Is that there would be some type of, caliche or route that would be proposed, which would be handled under the civil contractor, that just shows access to those side gates, which a lot of the side gates are there for the wraparound batting cage, which is a large apparatus that would get access in both sides of the facility. So if you want to go to the next.
Where is north?
So north is up. North is up. Yes, sir.
So did you take like the drone, because me and Mr. Coulter met Jason at Colorado City.
Jason Barth.
Yes, that's what we wanted to model our fields out of. Luckily, we just got to play a football game there Friday. We
Okay.
got to see it. They're like, wow, why don't we do that? That's because last year during our basketball playoff game, that was their inaugural grand opening. And I just stopped by there and looked at it, and I thought, man, this is exactly what we need. And so Jason met us out there and flew his drone over and took pictures. Have we even kind of taken any of that into consideration, like their setup and everything? Because I know Paragon built theirs. I know exactly how much they built it.
Okay,
So-
I don't know if I received those images from Jason.
I know Jason has been inputting and his input in the conversations that he's been having with Stephen and the civil engineer, Corey Doolin. the ideas, in fact, what you're looking at here on that striped field, that was one of the things that we saw that day over at Colorado City.
Yeah, Jason's been in pretty much all the discussions in the meetings in terms of like, if, you know, we sent the floor plan out, basically floor plan, the site plan out. And to Tarquette and Jason, and so everybody's been in those discussions and conversations, so. I would hope it aligns with that, but I can't answer that question.
I didn't know if y'all had communicated. with-
Recently, did he do the drone?
No, we did that. Shoot, last spring.
It was July. It was a Friday in July.
Okay, so it's been a while. It wasn't last week.
No.
Okay.
No, it was a Friday in July.
So these two, again, these are just graphic images that show you the striping, that show you the logo, the overall dimension of the logo. We've got, you know, Jaybirds written behind that home plate area. And then we've got kind of a detailed, you know, of what those colors represent, right? So Vegas gold, I think if you get the zoom in, there might be some Vegas gold around those, around that font. But yeah, this is really just a matter of, do you want striped or do you not like the striped, right? So the next ones are just unstriped, but there's a cost associated.
Which is costlier.
I would assume it's the striped version. It's much more labor intensive.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't know, you know, all of this has been transmitted back and forth with Jason and Tarquette. I don't know what they budgeted, but nobody has also said, well, you can't afford the striped. So I think it's just a preference thing at the moment.
Keep going?
Yep. So again, these are just graphic images showing what those are with the both logos, because I know previously, I think a lot of the images that we showed, we never had the Lady J on there, and that was important to make sure that was gonna be visible on the softball, so we wanted to make sure that we incorporated that into these.
One of the important conversations that's been had most recently is John had indicated an interest in relation to flexibility. They're trying to make the fields functional and usable by our youth league teams. And so part of the conversation has been about inputting, I'm gonna call them pedestals. I don't know if
Pedestal
that's-
mounts,
yeah.
bases at different locations.
Mounts, and mounts for different pitching rubbers distances from, so that we can use it for all the different kinds of youth leagues. There's several different varieties of that. So that's been part of the conversation to include that as well.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think on the baseball side, he did not want that as an option.
Right.
But on softball, he did want some flexibility.
Well, the softball, if John's here.
Yeah, so the baseball doesn't need anything.
Right, static.
It's already got a mound where we can't do anything, right? So what we can play on the baseball field is the junior league baseball, which is the exact same as what it is, and then the senior league baseball, which is the exact same what it is. It's really the softball where we're gonna need the plugs.
Yes, sir.
For the 50-70, the T-ball, the little league softball, all that stuff is gonna be different distances for base paths and for mound placement.
Correct.
We'll still play some baseball games on the softball field,
Sure.
but we have a portable mound that we can just wheel in and use for.
Right, right. And that's what we're planning on based on the conversations that were had. So that's what
So
we're
the
planning.
baseball field, I think is, that won't need to be
Okay.
any kind of adjustment or anything.
And just, I don't know if we want to go back to that original site plan, you know, I just put some dimensions out there again, just to ensure, you know, that these are the dimensions that we're currently showing. From, you know, tip of home plate to backstop, we're 42 feet, right? And it was from previous ADs and stuff, it was requested to get that a little bit closer compared to what is a standard, you know, I think standard NI is like 60 feet.
That was one of the things that has been stressed to me from a lot of baseball coaches that I've talked to about building a field is don't have the 60-foot back.
Right. I agree
Make
with
it
that.
45, 42, 40, don't have the 60. So
Right, so we're, you know, we're tighter, right? We're tighter everywhere. Compared to kind of what that, you know, it's a guideline, right? Like, it's not like it has to be there,
Right.
right? The only thing that has to be are these dimensions around here, so. You know, we're 320 foul pole to foul pole, we're 380 to dead center. And then we've got a 15-foot warning track, you know, basically around the facility there, so.
The solid wall in the batter's eyesight.
So, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
From-
And then
from
it's
the-
just the,
Home base through the pitching mound. It's a solid wall they're looking for at.
for the batter's eye.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then we're doing the coated, basically, I think what Jason said for budgets, coated chain link kind of everywhere else.
It's black.
Yes,
That's what, yeah. that's
Is that kind of
what
what
the
the Colorado
Colorado
City
thing
had?
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. It looks really nice.
Like a
And
rubber.
it's got
coating.
that, corrugated top, just kind of protect players and.
You mentioned seating earlier, and from the email exchange we had, I'm not sure, I may have misheard you. I think I'd indicated an interest in having 75 seats home, 75 seats visitor.
It's
It's 150.
We'll look at it. I want to say it's just under 150. I think it's
Okay.
like 148.
So what we're looking at would seat 150 people.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we were originally showing these just kind of turn the edge because they were based on what Happy did.
Yeah.
And we just felt like it was a lot of extra expense for these little wings when you weren't getting a whole lot out of it.
Hmm.
So, yes, sir. We can just keep on going. We'll go to these.
All right.
So,
We're not doing the wider.
no, they're standard
Like
tread
football.
depth, right?
Just want to point that out.
Where,
for
okay, where's
anybody.
that parking lot?
What,
It's
I
fine.
don't know what she's asking.
Further down.
No, I
Tell
know,
me
but
some.
like where, like, tell
So
me.
she was asking just to make sure, one of their requests potentially was to, like we did on the football stadiums where we have wider, non-standard.
Oh, bleachers, yeah.
Bleachers.
That road goes around into
These
that
are
parking lot.
standard widths. Everything about this system is standard.
Okay,
I just don't want y'all to be used to this big
Back here.
company, every, your football stands,
So
and they
it's
come here,
behind
and,
her?
Potentially just the.
Further, further, Patty
So
corner.
behind like cigarettes.
Like
and
that?
stuff?
Yes, sir, that's perfect. Maybe just something more. Yeah, so again, so one of the things that you'll see here is two options. Option one is where there's no canopy. Option two is there is a canopy. We can do it either way. We can have an ad alternate. We can have a base fit. When I was talking to Jason with FAR, he felt like there really wasn't a reason to show both. We felt like this is what the direction of the board wanted to go. And by eliminating those wings, that there's not gonna be any, there's probably like a trade-off in cost between eliminating that and getting this. So I was just worried that, it is just another shopping list. It's easy to do if we wanted to do it. We have the drawings for it. We can put it in the spec as an alternate if you just wanna see it, but, in
Is
his
that-
mind, he felt like that just go with this as the base bid.
the canopy, is that soft cover like is on the football field or is it hard cover?
It's on hard.
They were hard.
Or top-
Yeah. This is a system that is part of Southern Bleachers.
Okay.
What we did out there was not a like modular system from any manufacturer. That was designed in-house by our structural engineering team.
Okay, gotcha.
And similar to what we did at the Danlaw Baseball Stadium where we had that fabric there.
So the seating itself is the same on both of these drawings? It's-
Correct, the only
it's
difference
only the
is we're talking a canopy or not. Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
And the seating at baseball and softball, they're identical. So still have a concession, press box up at the top. So yeah, so total number of seats are 148 for that system. It's just a bench that there's no chairs, there's no chair back, no bench back. It's just a pretty standard system. And it's, there's no ramps to it, so it goes straight down to the ground.
I keep going?
Yeah, just keep on. So right here, I don't know if you want to zoom into this is, we're
Like
working
an
with-
alien.
I know, right? So what we've done is we're working with, Quail Light, I don't know if you have Quail Light, if that's how you want to say that, just to, look at our lighting levels and our, field lighting pole placements. And so this is I just want to show you this, this gives you basically the coverage, of what that lighting would be, for both fields. So very well covered. We would have, they're also on top of this, not including lighting, but we do have netting, so there are standalone poles that go to the back. Our netting is only going to the first part of the dugouts, not going past the dugouts.
So I assume that's LED light,
It is.
so we can do like we did at the football stadium the other night, we can have flashing.
Yeah, I don't know if we talked
Siren.
about that technology into that, but, I think we're just trying to get them to turn on, right?
Well, maybe just take an air horn, we can do that. Can't do that at Texas Stadium.
The rest of this in here is very technical data that shows you the lighting levels for the field. So it's very good lighting levels. I think it's a total of, if you want to go back real quick.
I think it was 6 and 4.
Yeah, I think that's correct, right?
Am I at the right place?
Yeah, you can.
Yes, sir, yeah. So 6 and then 4. Yes, sir, you're correct.
Oh.
And again, this will be like, it'll be base bid, so. It's not like this will be an alternate.
Technical data.
Yeah, very large technical data.
It's the
And
last
that's
one.
it, yeah, so that's just want to give you just an overview of kind of where we're at and, you know, the concession itself at one point was pre-engineered metal building, they have budgeted for, you know, CMU, so that finish is the exact finish that you'll see on the child daycare center as we matched it on the football stadium, so that combo of the rough split face and the smooth burnished is just the same, you know, level elevations will all be carried into this facility as well. The one thing that I did ask Jason is when we did have a pre-engineered metal building, we carried kind of like an extended canopy for potential for people to sit, you know, what have you. In this scenario, it's really just a square, you know, block building. And so the question would be is still, do we want to? We work with a lot of companies called Skyways, where they're just fabric. I think you've probably seen those at parks, playgrounds, where there's 4 poles and just kind of a fabric mesh screen. Poles and potentially that fabric could be tied back to the facility.
You're talking about in front of the concession.
In front of the concession, yeah, if that's a need. So.
Wouldn't think many people would sit there and eat or go sit in the stands and.
And yell at the umpire.
Yeah,
But it,
right now it's not in the. So.
That wouldn't be something that would be terribly difficult to retrofit to.
or you put something like in the football field, on each side of the concession, just put one of them out there.
Right.
Cover.
Right. Well, and
With the little
we have a
ones.
similar at the tennis court. It's, I mean, we see them at Carl, that's all the time. It's the.
Yeah.
Soft canopy. So, as I told you, this is not an action item on the
Right.
board agenda. What you need to hear from me sooner rather than later is whether we want stripes or
That's a
not
big one.
stripes.
Yes.
That's the
yes,
big,
sir. That's probably the
the
big.
big
one, yeah.
decision point, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
And just, you know, overall, make sure that, you know, field size, things like that, make sure we're not going down the
Yeah.
wrong path. So,
and so just to, for historical perspective, and the board's heard this, they have to listen to baloney from me. But, this project that did not pass with the voters a year ago in November was 7 million. When we went back for RFP in May, I guess, we said we'd like to try to build it for 5 million, but not with a bond, using permanent school funds. And so I've been meeting with the county commissioners almost every time they meet. So that they're fully aware of, I mean, they haven't seen these pictures, but they're fully aware we're trying to build a nice place to play at a price that, to honor the voting public at a price tag that's less than what they. And so that's been the goal, at least from my chair, that's been the goal. So what happened?
That speaker,
Somebody whistling.
owl hooted at us
Yeah.
for some
We're not
reason.
recording anymore.
I thought that was a phone.
That's somebody hacked our.
This thing is actually called owl, so
Is it really? Oh,
the
wow.
sound makes sense, I
Yeah, it
guess.
does make
I don't
sense.
know what it means.
Now you're back on camera.
We're back.
The
Owl.
Saying about Keith,
That was kind
Everybody.
okay,
One thing
anything,
that-
any questions for Stephen?
So when I was talking to Jason, just again, because every time we're trying to make sure that anything that we do, that we're in alignment with the budget, right? And what was said between you guys and them. The contract that he said that the contract that was possibly signed is 6 million or so. And so, but I think the target still for the construction dollars is 5 million. Is that
The RFP went out at 5 million.
correct?
And so as with all construction contracts, I mean, there's flexibility because it's impossible to predict
Okay.
2 months, 3 months, 6 months out. What
Yeah.
happens, I mean, in today's environment, worse than any, that in my lifetime,
Right.
it's impossible to predict. So, from my chair, I mean, I can't speak for them, but I sort of speak for them. We don't, that thing doesn't need to come in at 7 million.
Right.
It needs to come in closer to 5 million than 7 million.
Yeah, that's,
And-
our test's always been the 5, and that's
So this
what we,
is just for potential inflation or
Sure,
unknowns or.
sure,
okay.
sure.
I just don't want them to
That
think
we're
that they have a
shooting.
$6 million, and it's really, yeah,
Sure.
we're trying 5, and whatever we're. In our team, any kind of movements that we're making, we wanna make sure that the contractor understands that we're trying to get that 5 as
Fine.
well. it's
And,
not-
with that in mind, with that said, I mean, I've been very pleased with the conversations that I've had with Jason. I think he's making a good faith effort
I agree.
to, honor that
Yes, sir.
attempt.
Yeah.
And, so I'm very confident in our choice of Jason to be the construction manager. From the conversations you and I and Jason had earlier, we had talked about having a picture, a photo op.
Yeah,
next
like
month.
a groundbreaking, yeah.
Ideally, we would have that photo op next time we meet in January. We'll establish that meeting date later in this meeting. My understanding though is if you all, receive from us a general, yeah, okay, let's go. That's when Jason can start putting together the bid process to try to search for well, at the January meeting will be the official point at which you say, this is what we're trying to build at these prices, and then we go out for posting of bids for subcontractors. Am I getting that correct?
I mean, we're on track to complete drawings, right? Construction documents that
Okay.
will be available for Jason to bid. We're also in this trying to understand from Jason, when is the right time to bid? Right? Because right now in Christmas around this is not the time that you would want to put that out on the
Right.
streets to bid. Early January is not the right time to bid. It's somewhat time in January. So we're just trying to ask from him, what is the date that you need the completed drawings from us? And we're gonna meet that date. So at that point, they will be ready to hit the streets to bid. They'll send them out, usually probably takes them about probably 3 weeks or so. They've got to advertise and put that out there. And then they'll come back to you for a board approval with a number. So
In February,
it probably, when's your board meeting?
in February?
In January.
It's gonna be the third Monday or something close to it. I think it'll be the 12th or the 19th, I think.
It probably would be February.
If it needs to be earlier, we can call a special meeting.
Yeah, it just depends on when Jason tells us when he needs those drawings. Cause if he tells us he needs those drawings mid-January to that third week of January, it's gonna take him three weeks or more to bid it. And so it looks like that will then roll right into that 1st of February.
Third
We'll
Monday.
need a week to vet it and all that stuff. So it's a
Yeah.
good month from the time they send it out. to
Probably by the
bid.
time we have the drawings done.
But typically, yeah, they would look for either a board meeting that works for you guys or a special meeting to get that GMP approved. And so it'll be a month-ish after we issue the drawings or they send them out.
So here's my question. What action do you need from this board to make the train roll?
The only thing that we need to move forward with is just a color scheme for the field. And
Unless there's
and-
some sort of strong objection to what was seen.
Yeah,
Right.
right, it's just to prove basically what you've seen today, right? Is that, because civil and everybody is, they don't have to do things twice. And they wanna make sure that the footprint or the flat work and all that stuff is where it needs to be, and we're not all of a sudden going, no, we need to reshape this concrete and do this and do that. So, if what you've seen is we're moving in the right direction, then we'll proceed as we are. But the biggest one is really just this field, because it, affects our specifications and things like that.
Any other questions?
I like the stripes. We need to call a special meeting later this week, Friday maybe.
to decide on stripes or not?
Make it an action item.
Let's see. We can't have the meeting at AT&T Stadium.
And we can always write it as an alternate, and you can get a price for either one and pick it at the end of the day.
I think
That's
great.
what I would.
That's a better.
I don't even need a
I like
decision
that.
from anybody.
I like that.
And the covers
It
also.
covers all, right? You know, so hey, we wanna know what it costs for stripes, we wanna know what it costs, and then you can make the decision
That would be good.
when the numbers come in,
That's it.
and we'll just keep rolling.
Well, and,
So,
so, you probably sensed my reluctance. I hate to ask these people for
no, I get it, yeah.
extra board meetings.
Yeah, I get
They're
it.
volunteers, give them their time away. Okay, so if that's an option, then let's play it.
It's an easy option.
Play it
Yeah,
that
it's
way.
an easy one.
Okay.
So, alternates are easy, so it just, at the end of the day, it gives you guys
Good deal.
a shopping list to make a decision,
Yep.
Good deal.
so.
Love it.
All righty. Thank you for being here. It's a long drive and you gotta dodge critters on the way
I
home.
hope so.
All
We
his-
saw quite a bit.
Yeah. If you wanna stay for all the excitement and the rest of the board meeting,
We'll
you're.
watch it.
Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You'll see how Stephen's hair looks, under the lights, right?
Thanks, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you,
Thanks for
sir.
driving
Yeah.
out.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you.
Get to see in person.
You were referring to Jason, who's Jason?
Pardon?
What's Jason's last name?
Farr, Pharr. He's, as a, just a little bit of history for you. When we went out with the RFP, I think it was in May. By typical, normal, usual and customary processes, we took the bids and then we ranked the construction companies that put the bids in place. Tynert, their wing out of Abilene is the one that was ranked top. And by board resolution, it was my job to negotiate with them, and if at any point in time, I didn't feel like the negotiations were going well, I could cease the negotiations with them and go to the next one. So we put the RFP out at 5 million. And we ranked the construction managers. And then we asked them for an opinion of probable cost, and Tyner came in right smack at $7 million. And it felt to me like they really didn't make a good faith effort. So I emailed and said, look, the RFP said 5 million. You came in 2 million hot, and will you see if you can find areas that you can shave this down and get it closer to 5 million? I didn't even say it has to be 5 million. And so they sent a revised opinion of probable cost. And I was reading through the elements on that thing, and then it said, 1 commode, no privacy panel. And I thought, that,
You're out.
yeah, and you know, they just caught me on a bad day, I guess, maybe.
Well,
But,
I think it
we
would
went
be
to
a case
Jason
of-
Farr. He was the number 2. And he has been, he's been very cooperative in trying, making an effort, on the pricing. Well. Again, I don't think we're married to 5 million. I think we'll come closer. I think we'll come closer to 5 million than we will 7 million. And that has been my goal all along. Because if we want embellishments later, I mean, like the canopy over the concession stand, we can do it.
Yeah.
But to honor the vote from the public a year ago, to me, it seems like we have to make a good faith effort to build a nice place to play. Commensurate with what the other things that we have. But we don't need to keep calling Hamlin our home field.
Right.
I don't think we need to do that. So, you ready to go? Keep going? We're still on the superintendent report. And I apologize, Stephen called me Thursday afternoon. Of course, we had to post the agenda Wednesday, so off we go. Daycare inspection on the 19th from the state, which is basically a health department thing. We were flying colors there. I'm old enough to remember in my young days of service, we used to give Christmas bonuses to employees, and that's not legal to do that. So we have employee retention stipends, and those were part of the budget that you approved back in the summer. The monthly drug testing thing came in clear. That's always good news. That video, that slide I showed you earlier about the piles of money that the state flows to us, part of that is our transportation mileage. And one of my least favorite homework assignments every year when I'm in this chair is doing the transportation report, where I have to calculate how many miles we do regular routes, how many miles we do activity routes, and all that stuff. Lacey enjoys, what's it called? The one you hate as bad as I hate the operation. Fixed assets, yes. You know, how many desks you have and how many chairs you have and all that stuff. You heard the preliminary earlier accountability rating was an A, and so the state now has stuck a fork in that. That's done. The first of our online auctions of the old pickup that we have sitting at the Ag Barn, I glanced, I didn't see who, but I glanced to see if we'd gotten any responses, and we've had 2 responses to that. So we'll use that to offload some of the things that are just kind of eyesores and space eaters. The next thing probably to go will be the man lift that we phased out of service when we get rid of that pickup. The money that we gain from that, however much it is, will go into the general fund. Senate Bill 8 is one that's been causing a lot of consternation, particularly among coaches and coaches associations around the state. The legislature passed a law this spring saying that people of one gender cannot go into the restrooms or dressing rooms or locker rooms of people from the opposite gender. But the local administration has to come up with some sort of a policy. And so the sky has been falling for months now. And finally, Kevin sent me a picture from Haskell the other day of a sign that they've got on their dressing rooms that I think will allow men coaches to go into the dressing room and talk to their female teams without the students being molested or unduly offended. Yeah. The Solar Nova plants, the 1 and 2, the ones that are operational now, last year we benefited over $1 million, right? From those as virtue of our 313 agreements. This year, this next month in January, we were notified last week or week before that we'll get the sum total of about $300,000, which will go a long way toward closing our deficit budget. Wind farm conversations on our property that we own in Dawson and Martin County. I sat in on the Commissioners Court meeting a week ago, in which the representatives from both the landman and the International Green Energy Company that wants to build on that property. They envision a project, a very big project out there, and the property that we own that would be in that wind farm is about 25% of that total project. And so the sense I got from the commissioners, I didn't see any hesitation or reluctance at all on their behalf. I mean, the attorney was in the room, and he indicated that he didn't think there was going to be any problem at all working with the leases that we have for mineral rights out there or the grass leases that we have in those properties. So I think that's going to happen. I just don't know how long it'll take for those agreements to take place. And then once that wind farm, the guy that was representing the company talked like it's a little easier process out there than it would be in the Metroplex area because they're dealing with large property owner. I mean, just our part of that is 5,000 acres. And so they have fewer people that they're trying to negotiate with. And so he talked like he thought if our county of commissioners approved it, then they could get going with that fourth of the project and start getting those things built. And we might start realizing revenue 3 years out. Annual financial report. Lacey and I got an email from TEA 2 weeks ago, I guess, maybe 3 weeks ago, and says, we finished, your annual financial and compliance report for 23-24, which neither one of us knew was happening. And then they said, we only found 3 little issues. And don't let me misstate this, but it was like, you put $2 here in the wrong place, $75 over there in the wrong place. And is that close?
Was mostly with the TRS retention money that the auditor has to report.
Yeah. But it was not much. I mean, it wasn't like you were stealing $300,000, no. No, okay. So it was
Not me.
just minor accounting stuff. The state champion display thing, you all at the last meeting said, go see if you can get this thing developed. I reached out to 2 different monument companies from the Lubbock area and showed them our schematic and said, tell us what you can do. One of them, I guess, is not interested because they haven't replied at all. And then one from Sadler Monument Company. In fact, he came out today to take measurements. He and I have had some conversations on how that thing might take shape. So I think at the January meeting, we'll have firm specifications and pictures to say, okay, let's do it or not do it. A couple of things that he and I talked about is, if you remember, the conception that we have is sort of a rounded thing. And when he called me about that, he said, we can do that, but if you're going to cut granite in a rounded shape, the width of that thing has to be a lot wider when you start cutting a curve in it. He said, could you live with a flat granite wall instead of the rounded version? And he said it would also be easier to put that banner about educating champions across the top if it's a straight wall instead of a rounded wall. So he's building the conception that way. And then he also recommended, if you'll remember on the thing that we've been looking at, it was kind of a multicolored flagstone patio. And he said, we can do that, but it's not very durable. He said the mortar between those flagstones is going to start breaking loose and they're going to come loose. He said, you got to put concrete anyway. And he recommended thinking about printed concrete. Y'all have seen that in some places that has a sort of a patio look about it without being just a slick gray concrete. So that's the way he's building that for us to look at whenever we get it. And you'll get to see it before you decide if that's what you want to do or not. Grade point average thing, we've talked about that more than once. I still haven't seen the commissioner's rules on that. You saw that Dwayne Lucas is going to be joining the maintenance team and to fill the place that Jacqueline Carson. Dwayne originally said he was ready to come on December the 18th, and he called me back the other day and he said his boss is kind of a panic and asked if he would stay to the end of the month. And I said, of course. Okay, so Dwayne will come on in January. Things in the red there you see for benefit of Roy and BJ, you won your seats back, you re-won to fill an unexpired term. So the wheels of now start this month in the planning for the May election. So if we don't scare you off completely, and if you want to run again, that's got to take place again. But the May election process begins this month. Those of you that have been on the board either now or previously have had some engagement with David Backus, our attorney. He's the lead attorney for Underwood, and David lost his wife last week. And the funeral for her is on Thursday of this week. So I've been leaving David alone completely this week, and we sent a memorial to them. State football game, you've seen that information. I got an email, Josh got an email yesterday from the UIL. And the short version of it was, here's a 25-page document you need to read. We don't know what you had on your calendar, but it doesn't matter anymore. You need to do what we want you to do. So Jamie and I are going to be meeting, have a Zoom meet Wednesday morning with all the other, I guess it's 24 schools 12
I
championships, 2 schools in each.
think it's abbreviated. I don't think all of us are good. I think
Is it
it's
not
just-
all?
I think it's just the Thursday or the Wednesday.
Oh, just the Wednesday group?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, sir, it's separate.
Anyway, we have a Zoom meet to go through that 25-page document of the things that we have to do. And you all have seen my communications on that topic about arranging for transportation and trying to get people where they're supposed to. One thing I learned for reading that, I did not know, is that they reserve a suite there at the stadium for Jayden. And so I'll reach out to you all individual to see if you're going and if you're gonna go to that suite and watch the ball game, then you have to have special kind of credentials. Did you go in that last year?
No, we had passes to go on the field.
You were on the field with
The board did.
we
We
didn't
hear anything about the suite.
oh, you didn't know anything about the suite?
We just got
All right.
we each got a pass like we,
Anyway, I'll reach out to you. I don't know if you want to be in the suite or not. I mean, if you do, okay. I don't know if Jerry Jones will be there or not. I doubt it. But I don't like him anyway because he hired Tom Landry. So, he'd be better off if I didn't.
Jimmy Johnson,
Yeah, correct. And what was that other coach, the one from Oklahoma?
Barry Switzer.
Yeah, that, I was driving, you don't care. I was driving down the road in February 1989, going to a playoff basketball game, and on the radio, it said Jerry Jones fired Tom Landry, and I tore my silver stars off of everything that I had. I have not been back. Lacey and I got a letter on Friday in the office, and it said, from a company called Pace. And it said, we're interested in leasing the property, the parcel of property you own, and it named a specific parcel. And we want to pay you $2,500 per acre per year for 20 years for 5 to 10 acres. And we're going to be contacting you about this. And it had something to do with energy, electricity. And so we didn't know the property. So I got to digging and scratching. It's the ag farm. And then I got home that evening and I had the same letter for a piece of property on my ranch. And it's under a big transmission line. And so I did some homework over the weekend and I found a white paper written by people in this company. And what they're doing is they've done, I mean, it's a very technical paper. But what they basically said is the data center build out is over ambitious because it's already happening. The places that they want to build, some of them, they're never going to get them built because of political pushback. And the most likely places that data centers are going to be built are in Northwest Texas and Southeast Texas. And they're going to need access to a lot of power, a lot of electrical transmission. And this company is in the business of trying to grease the skids to move large volumes of electricity to and from solar fields and wind farms to data centers, because they don't believe that as many data centers that are being planned will ever get off the launch pad. And so that's what they're about. They're supposed to reach out and contact me. It was kind of an interesting read, although part of it is technically a little beyond me. And I visited with the Commissioners Court this morning about it too. I mean, they're going to entertain thoughts about this. They've been hearing complaints already from landowners up on the north end of the county about solar farms and the negative effects from those. So we'll see how all that goes. I guess I need to wait till I hear from the company specifically, but my reading of their letter and that white paper suggests that the property they're wanting to lease, they just want the complete control of that property for 20 years. It's not like just, we want to set beside you and work. So I don't know if we can give up our ag farm to do that, but we'll see. Another conversation. Action, okay, that's the report. Ask me questions about the report.
I was wondering, because I have a meeting in my company every other week. We had our meeting this morning. And it talks that we got a list of data centers and I don't know where they get all their info, but I don't know if commissioners have heard it, but there's one in Kent County that says it's gonna be built somewhere. I haven't heard anything about it, but a data center actually.
Well, at the last two commissioners meeting. And Roy will probably know this name, Paul Cioli is his name, and Rex Vaughn, who actually he's an old fart like me, but he used to work at the Region Center. They both have property right close to Garza County line in the White River direction.
And Paul joins the solar farm that's there now.
Yeah, and
Rick's not far off.
so he has been very vociferous in pushing on the commissioners to tap the brakes on further build out without significant compromise financially. And this is not a secret because it was an open meeting. And that's why I think they have an attorney now, is to try to protect themselves a little bit in these future 3-1. It's for them, it's 3-1-2 agreement, not a 3-1-3 agreement. But it sounds like Paul's argument is the county has left a lot of money on the table in those negotiations, and at the same time, not put enough guardrails on those companies that are building out those farms. If you will recall, there was supposed to be a third one built, and they pulled the plug on us. We went through some formal action here in the boardroom, basically to give them permission to pull the plug on that Solar Nova 3. But now the conversations are supposedly a data center on that side of the county. And I don't know, you may know the MacArthur land is, I'm not familiar with it.
I didn't know about that.
Evidently there's been negotiations with them already about the data center. And then there's also been conversations about battery storage, which seems to be, and that's kind of tied to this PACE group also. What they're in the business of is basically managing the energy that's produced, is flowing it smoothly to the places it needs to be flowed and storing it, because as you know, with solar and wind, you either use it while it's being produced, or you better store it or it's gone, or you lose it. And so the battery storage is becoming a more prominent feature. As always, in all of these conversations, and it doesn't matter whether you're talking about solar, wind, or data centers in particular, water. Water is the gold. They either have to have a lot of water to build the thing to start with, or they have to have a lot in the data centers. I'm reading it takes 1 million gallons a day just to keep it cool enough to operate. And so that's a big deal. And that paper I read over the weekend mentioned that there was a big data center on the planning board for Hays County, which is between Austin and San Antonio. And the county commissioners there pulled the plug on it because it was the proximity to the St. Edwards aquifer. St. Edwards. And they just weren't willing to commit that amount of water that was the lifeblood of their, particularly their agricultural community, but also to their, it's pretty metropolitan area down through there as well. Kyle and Buda and Como, but so other thoughts, questions? I think we're gonna have more and more conversations.
Yeah,
Your company will, and I think Commissioners Court will, and I think we will about.
There's an individual very near the school property here that's been hit up about a battery storage.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know, from my reading, the battery storage doesn't seem to be as much of a hot button political resistance thing.
No, but I think in all these things, we probably ought to take a little more time and see what the effects of being near these things
Right.
are on people.
Right.
There's a lot of juice flowing in it. I saw battery storage today. I went to Graham. And between Throckmorton and Graham, I saw battery storage, and it's just the 40-foot containers in
Oh, no,
rows.
that's what it looks like, man. Stacked up.
And then
And I have no idea if they have to cool them or anything. I don't know.
So, I didn't see any signs of that kind of deal, but it's not as obnoxious looking as the wind towers and the solar farms for
Yeah.
sure.
And this is, I probably don't need to say this, but I will anyway. Lacey and I had this conversation on the, but I did have it with the commissioners on the wind farm, like the ones that's considered in Martin Dawson County. When they put the windmills up, farmers can still farm, ranchers can still ranch. It doesn't stop, and even oil companies can still operate. When they put those solar arrays up, farmers can't farm, ranchers can't ranch, and then the oil companies can't run trucks through there freely. I keep expecting some engineer somewhere or another to figure out how to put those solar panels up in vertical configurations as opposed to the horizontal acre over acre over acre. I think it's got to be coming. Seems like. But I mean, that's why they build office towers. So it's same square footage going up. I think that we'll see that.
Well, the big thing's gotta be we're really careful of these wind farms is, I know a couple of people now that were early in it, back towards Snyder and Roscoe. Now those tires are done. And the company's just going under, walking away,
Yeah.
not taking them down.
Right.
Same thing oil companies have done for years on plugging with
Yeah.
a small oil company. They'll sell off to a small oil company and then they go under and go away. Nobody plugs them up.
Right.
You're left with a monstrosity you don't know what to do with.
Yeah.
So the cleanup really needs to be addressed big time.
So it's been a few years ago, attorney called me and said, what are you doing on such and such day? It's when after I retired from Guthrie, I said, I don't know why. He said, can I hire you? I said, yeah, okay, what do you need? He said, I need for you to go out there and watch them plug a well. And I said, watch them plug a well? And he said, I need for you to watch them plug the well. And he just needed a set of eyes, to make
Take a
sure,
few pictures.
make sure that it was happening. Yep. Kind of a boring day, but.
Did pay you?
Yeah, he paid me. He also paid me, one day to witch, I can witch water.
Water.
Well, and so, they were trying to find a water line. They knew there was a water line between a well and a tank. And he hired a backhoe and they dug half a day. I mean, it was a huge hole trying to find the water line. They couldn't. And he hired me to come out there and witch and I found it. And it was about this far from the hole. They had spent a half a day digging. So he could have hired me, got away with it. All right. I'm sorry. I got distracted. I was supposed to try to go faster.
Okay, next we'll move to action item, review legal policies and add, revise or delete local policies as offered by TASB. Policy service for consideration and according to the instrumentation sheet, or instruction sheet for TASB localized policy manual update 126.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And so not one of you asked me for the 1,398 page version. I don't know if you just forgot to ask or, and I don't even know if you looked in your packet at the explanatory notes or the other ones. I put on, if you did, I put on that side-by-side document, of the local policies that they normally read with the editing that they suggest. And I put a little note in green or purple, I can't remember, at the top of each of those, whether or not I had any heartburn.
Heartburn or not. Yeah.
The only one, and Cody and I talked about this last week, was the one on the deadline for a board member to ask to put something on the agenda. As you know now, we have to post the agenda 3 business days before we have a meeting, which if it's a weekend in there, then it's basically 5 days. But the TASB's recommending a 10-day window out front of a board meeting for a board member to say, I'd like something on the board agenda. That seems a little, I mean, in our circumstances, that seems a little long. But I'm open to your thoughts on that if you. That's the only one I felt like we might want to modify the language that TASB was recommending.
I would leave it at 3 until they till you got to do
Change it, yeah.
it.
Say that one,
I would leave it at 3 until they tell you have to do it.
10 does seem like a long amount of time to me too.
well, I mean, and if
Things
we work in
happen.
a large district and we were having to
Yeah.
put a bunch of documents and research together, you know, I can see that.
Right.
But I mean, I think the intent of that was to keep, board members that are crossways with the administration from, you know, being passive aggressive,
Right.
for lack of a better phrase.
Mhm.
So you think 3 is a good
That'd
number?
be my suggestion.
That's, I think we leave it.
Three business days, so we could modify that language on that particular. Local policy.
Mhm.
I'm trying to remember which one that was, let me pull that out.
Everybody good with that?
Mhm.
We'll need a motion.
Let me give you, I was thinking that was an EIA, we want to be specific about the one that we're gonna make the amendment to. I was thinking it was an EI, maybe.
I kind of remembered it being toward the bottom.
So if the agenda is posted on Wednesday, the last day you could recommend something would be Friday, right?
It'd have to be Wednesday before we meet, because we have to meet.
Would have to, it
We
certainly
meet
have to be
3
before
business
the
days
agenda's
before
posted.
we can
The
post.
Friday before it's posted is what I'm saying. That's the 3 business days, right?
That you could put something else add to the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's still.
So it's
a
not, or are we doing 3 business
So
days?
it's you know,
Mhm.
page 14.
have to do at least 3 business.
Then you have that search bar
14.
up there at the top,
Thank you.
Be 72 hours.
if you type in the
I
name,
think that's
a word
it.
in that search bar.
Is it gonna be BE local?
Get in, speak now for everyone to pay.
Which,
So, oh,
Which
oh,
policy?
sorry, I'm on this one. This is the one, right?
yeah, and it's BE, okay.
Control F10, and then just type in 10 and find it.
E. E. BE local. Is that it?
It's just minutes.
Dadgummit. That is, you didn't say BE, didn't you, Kenzie?
Mm-hmm. Okay,
There it is, right there, notice the members,
There it is.
go back down.
There it is. Yeah, there's my number. So it's BE local. And so instead of, 4th business day, they're saying recommend 10th calendar day.
Right.
And, if I heard Royce,
It's presently 4.
that's what our
Okay, I
policy
thought-
currently says,
Okay.
4th business day.
Thought it was presently 3.
And we have to post the agenda on 3 business
3
days
business
out
days.
front. So if we just,
so leave it as 4th business day, and is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, that'll give us time to meet and then get the agenda posted for the president and the superintendent.
okay, so from a motion, making a motion perspective, then whoever's making the motion can move to adopt the TASB recommendations in update 126, with the exception being in BE local. Or she can type fast.
She can.
Leave as is.
Where we'll
Leave
leave
as is.
the deadline for
Okay.
submitting items on the agenda as the 4th. Okay,
4th business day.
Before.
Is that what?
So that would be Thursday.
Don't let me mistake what
No,
I'm trying to say.
We're gonna do everything in by Thursday.
I wouldn't change it till the next.
Deadline for
Right.
So if
submitting.
we meet on
That's
Monday,
longer.
we have to have the agenda
Think so.
posted by Wednesday afternoon.
Right, so then,
Tuesday would be the day.
Before
That way we can discuss it
business
the agenda on
day
Wednesday.
before
oh, I thought.
regular and
It's business
special
day.
4
meetings.
days before.
Has to be
Okay.
business
Okay.
days.
Y'all want me to make that
Weekends
motion?
don't
I've
count.
got the wording in front of
So it'd
me.
be- Okay.
Okay.
I want to make sure I've got it. Okay.
So Roy makes a motion, I second it, all in favor?
Mhm.
All right, thank you all for that. Sorry, it took me a little too long to.
Thanks for reading 1,300 pages.
You read it all, right? You read it all.
No, well, not the 1398. No, I did not.
Next will be an action item, consider purchase of 2025 Freightliner Executive Super Coach XL from Buy Board approved vendor Masters Transportation for $390,000 and $290,100.
Okay, so I've been trying to feed you all the information you need on that, and you know the rationale. Of trying to roll the buses so that we can sell the other ones and get a decent pay. The bus that you see there is, basically a clone of our big one now. And so, the price tag, the current one we bought was just about $100,000 less when we bought it. I have looked, and this vendor is on Buy Board, which means that they've already done the vetting. I haven't, it seems like he's in the right ballpark, on the pricing. And, he's got the bus on hand, so it's not them ordering from the manufacturer. I told him I wanted a grill guard, and so he texted me last week and he said, the grill guard will cost you $3,253. And then I've been talking to, the guy they use for signage, and I think you saw that one. And the signage I asked for specifically. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Here's the bus that we own, right here. And I specifically asked them if they would do signage where we had a little better contrast between the words in the background. He has shipped to me, this is not Vegas gold right here. And he said it's not gonna look exactly right on that picture. I'm gonna ship to you the actual, what it actually looked like. But the gold, I'm gonna make sure the gold is closer to this Vegas gold than what you see here. But bottom line is, I'm thinking the signage here on this bottom part, which will differentiate the two buses. You know, we can call one the white bird, one the black bird, or one the gold bird, it doesn't matter. But part of the calculus has to do with another piece on the agenda, down on the consent item, where I had to do a research of all of our buses and the seat belts and which did, which didn't, which had two, which had three. Our smaller white bus doesn't have seat belts, so that'll be the one we roll out first, and so it won't cost us any money to try to fix that. So, to buy the bus, I mean, that's my recommendation to you. We buy that bus, it'll be the 390-100 plus the 3253 for the grill guard. And then the signage, the bus salesman said, if you deal directly with the guy that's building the wrap, it'll be $10,950. If you want to run it through me, I'll add 20% to it and you can pay more. So, bottom line on the bus, if you choose to approve the purchase of it, would be what? 390-100 plus additional 14,203. So I guess the motion, if you are inclined to approve that, it would be to approve the 225 Freightliner Executive Coach for $390,100 plus the cost of the grill guard and the signage wrap. And that'll cover it.
That's what the bond, transportation bond.
That's transportation bond. And that money will not come in until probably February, March, but we have enough money in the bank to go ahead and start doing the purchase. And then once the bond money comes in, which we'll talk about a little bit later, then Lacey can do the accounting move with the money back to. And so what Patrick has told me is that this bus that we're looking at will be in our hands by the end of the month.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
That's good.
Yep.
There's no telling what it's gonna cost to put seatbelts in the other one.
No,
The state, where they can give us like 10,000 to do.
it won't be enough. And then you gotta try to
$3,000
find somebody to do it, and then you gotta be without your bus while you're doing it too. That's another problem.
You'd probably be getting line wherever they're doing that too.
And I would almost bet somebody has the finger in that pie.
Somebody's nephew just happened to own a business that does that.
Steps on a business that does that, yeah.
So we would keep the existing bus?
Yeah, so my thinking is keep the two big buses, auction off the smaller one. But for my coaches, talking to Jamie and the coaches and Andy and the others that actually drive them, they said the Freightliner is a way better bus to drive than that Bluebird. And so again, my thinking looking down the road is the transportation bond was for we presented it as a 3-year rollover. So we buy this one now, and then we start replacing other vehicles with the intention of 2 years down the road, replacing the current big one. And then whoever the superintendent and the board are at that time, I think it would be wise for them, because of the financial arrangement, to ask the voters to approve another transportation bond and do it all over again. That's my thinking.
So we'll need a motion to consider purchase of the 2025 Freightliner Executive Super Coach XL, if everybody's good with that. I'll make a motion that we purchase the bus. Cody Stanley makes a motion.
With the wrap and the grill guard.
Correct. Yes.
A second.
Kenzie seconded, all in favor? Next item will be an action item, consider recommended revisions to the 2025-2026 school calendar.
Yeah, I've been trying to give you all warning on that. Jamie and I have been having conversations around this for the last 3 weeks about how best to deal with it if we qualify for the state football game. And we've considered a lot of different contingencies and possibilities, but the recommendation I'm gonna put for you before you tonight is the ball game is on Wednesday, the 17th. So we call off school 17th, call off school 18th, call off school the half day 19th Friday. And we add to the calendar a school day on April 10th, which is now currently listed as a holiday. And add to the calendar a school day on May the 1st, which is a Friday that we had listed. There's about 6 or 8 Fridays in the spring that they built into the school calendar. And then that half day, we still have enough minutes spare overage that we still meet the number is 75,600 instructional minutes. So we're still safely above that mark.
And that would be the start of the Christmas break?
So that means we let school out Tuesday and then we're on holiday.
Okay.
Till January 5th. Well, teachers and staff come back on the 5th and the students come back on the 6th.
The April 10th date, we already had a 3-day week for that week because we have Easter on Monday. And we had that Friday off. So all that ends up doing essentially is giving you another 4-day week in there with Monday off instead of Friday off, and going that Friday to give us a 4-day week, which is a 3-day week. It's really not optimal. So it really just changes that Friday in May.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Works for me. We need
I'll make a motion.
Stephanie makes a motion to consider to approve the changes to the 25-26 school calendar. I'll second it. All in favor?
Can I add that language to you specifically? To, make December 17, 18, 19 school holidays? And make April 10 and May 1, 2026 school days.
Got it.
Thank you. Thank you all for that. As I mentioned to you in email, whatever we do is wrong. I mean, anytime you call school, it's a wrong thing. I know it puts people in a bind, one way or the other.
But having those Fridays already built
So that's
in
been
kinda
handy.
helps.
That's handy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And I would like to think we have to deal with this again in basketball season, you know, that'd be handy if we have to figure out a way to work around the state tournament twice even.
Next will be a discussion item, safety audit by David Cox on December 8th.
Every 3 years, we have to have a safety audit, which is very comprehensive. It's required by law. We contract through the Region Center. David Cox is a former superintendent, used to be Superintendent Meadow. He came down this afternoon. I've known he was coming. We've been having conversations and I've been feeding him information and he was here. I thought it would be all afternoon long. He was here about an hour and 15 minutes. And so he'll write up the report. He didn't indicate to me that he had any heartburn whatsoever. I wouldn't be surprised if there's not something in there we need to fix, but he does this all the time, and I think he probably recognizes this is a pretty safe place to be. So I don't think he'll drag us through the coals, but I would be surprised if he didn't say, you know, you could probably do something, a little improvement here, but that happened.
David Cox that went to school here back in the 70s.
It's the son of Coach Corky Cox and Daryl Cox's brother. I played against Daryl. And Coach Corky Cox was on the staff at that time. Yep. Yep.
Okay, thank you for that. Next, learning optimization for all, discussion item, private school and charter school partnership conversations and research.
Yeah, y'all are probably getting tired of me saying this, but I'm still talking to people. Both of those things seem like they would have some financial benefit to us. The thing I'm trying to tease out in as much as possible is what the risks are. Both of them are efforts by the legislature to open the public school playing field and to throw a little support in the direction of school choice and non-public school format. And they're doing it by teasing us with some money if the public school will partner with some of the schools. I'll have another conversation later this week with the lady from Connections Academy, which has been partnered with Houston ISD. Kenzie's very familiar with them. They've been partners with Houston for 15 years. And that vice president, when I met with her the first time, basically said that the legislature broadened that field. And so that Connections Academy can now partner with other districts more freely. And what they're interested in is regional hubs. And so what they're trying to do is increase market share, is what they're trying to do. So I'm meeting with her again Wednesday. The commissioner's still writing a few of the rules that this is going to apply to. As part of that, one of my questions to her was, so our partnership would be defined by the memorandum of understanding, correct? And she said, yes. And I said, so you said you're looking to try to create regional hubs. If we were to partner with you, could we define the geographic boundaries that we would serve? And she went, because I'm not interested in serving students in Southeast Texas or South Texas. If we can serve only West Texas and Northwest Texas students, then I'm much more open to having a conversation because we can get to them. And this, by the way, this is the company that Samantha Sprague works for. But anyway, those conversations continue. I'm absolutely convinced there's financial benefit to us. What I'm trying to do is tease out the amount of risk there is to us. And so we'll see where the conversations go. And Lacey and I had another conversation today on a similar topic. The commissioner is very much a fan of pay for performance. And the state is putting a lot of money into the till for schools that'll jump on that bandwagon where you pay teacher X more money if her star grades are better than teacher Y. I mean, and it's a good, I know personally a teacher that's gonna get an extra $24,000 this year because of that. But the people she works with are not. And so there's some pretty tricky navigation in those waters, and the commissioner's trying to put the mechanisms in place to make it hard to turn that money down. But similar, but not the same time. That's all I got, unless you got questions for me on that.
Thank you, sir. Next will be effective and efficient learning operations, action items, consent items, the minutes from November 10th board meeting, the financial reports, the county permanent money request for $52,920.89. And SB 246 report, re-anticipated cost for 3-point seatbelt retrofit.
Yeah, and as I've said before, consent items are kind of the redundant stuff, but if you got questions, I'm happy to answer them. The only thing that's unusual for you there is that bottom one, which is part of that requirement by law for me to do that research on our seatbelts and report to you what I think it's going to cost, and report to the state that I've reported to you and what I think it would cost for us to do it. And because of our plan to replenish the fleet, I don't see it being a negative impact on the budget.
Anybody have any questions about any of the finances minutes? We'll need a motion to approve the consent items.
I'll make a motion. We approve the consent items. Second.
Seconded, all in favor?
Cody and Kinsey, if you'll sign those minutes. Thank you very much for your, I take that as a signal of trust when you approve the consent agenda. I'm not gonna try to fly something by you.
Next will be an action item, review investment policy, CDA local, and designated Lacey Scoggin as investment officer on behalf of the district.
Yeah, this is an annual thing for you all that have been on the board. So I won't spend a lot of time. Basically, the state requires you to certify somebody in this building to be the person to manage the money. And in case, the case it has been here has been Lacey. And she's the one that moves the money around from the investment pool to the CDs to the different bank, there's a bank account stuff. CDA local is the one that's up there. It's defined, but it's basically a bunch of language saying you need someone that knows what they're doing and that you trust. So I trust Lacey implicitly.
So we'll need a
If we can't
motion.
trust her, we're in trouble.
We'll need a motion to approve this CDA local policy to designate Lacey Scoggin as the investment officer on behalf of the district.
So move.
I'll
Roy makes
second.
a motion, Kinsey seconds, all in favor? Next will be an action item, consider sound projection and lighting upgrades in auditorium to be done by Big Picture AVL of Abilene, Texas via permanent school funds.
So when I left here in 2002, I thought the auditorium needed some help. And when I got back here, I mean, actually a year before last, when Daley graduated, I was surprised that we still needed some improvements in the light, sound and stuff. Part of the conversation that we've had a little bit is the possibility of an auditorium or a performing arts center, which I think needs to be part of our grander conversation. Even if we decided tonight to build a new auditorium or performing arts center, we'd be 5 years away from being in it. So Keith went and did some homework looking for people that could do those upgrades. He got a couple of bids. We can use our technology money, or we can use permanent school fund money. We had that conversation in the leadership team meeting, and we think the permanent school fund is the best way to go on this particular project, as it's more of an infrastructure thing than it is a student learning thing. So that's the recommendation to you, that we hire these people from Abilene to beef up our sound projection line in the auditorium.
You guys have any questions? Didn't we? I thought we saw pricing on that, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right at 100,000. I've got it up on the screen here. I forgot the exact number, but it's down at the bottom of all those numbers, I think.
How long will that take? A couple of weeks?
I didn't know you came back in. Sorry. Did you have something to add to what I said?
No, I mean, we did get a couple of quotes on different systems, and the other company, they're quoting for just the lighting was over $100,000. This is the lighting, the new sound system board, and video projection screen and projector. So for just under 100. It is not gonna be UIL compliant.
No.
Because our stage is not big enough, and we don't, we'll never be UIL compliant in that auditorium.
Right.
But it at least gives Ms. Blocker some options on training kids a little bit better to do sound and lighting when they do have one act play competitions. So,
And when we have community events and you pull the screen down, it doesn't take a year to get down.
I don't know how fast it'll be. We'll have to see on that, but it will be an upgraded projector and better video, and then the soundboard, it's been there a while, and we're about due for some upgrades.
Yeah.
And they were taking down a lot of those lights that
They don't even.
we're not even using.
Redundant, yeah.
They left those old ones up there, and this will be LED lighting, and there'll be some different spots that pivot. I mean, we're not going overboard with it by only spending this, but we do need it better visibility for the kids. I mean, I have floodlights hanging in the back right now so that Wednesday y'all can see the kids on the risers. And we won't have to have that once we get this done.
Yeah.
So,
And this won't put the auditorium out of commission for months of one act play prep. They'll be able to work around it.
now there is gonna be some additional cost from an electrician to change a few things in the back for them to do this, but he said it wouldn't be much. So, I'm sure it'll be out of commission for, probably 3 or 4 weeks while they're got scaffolding in there to do
Right.
the changes, but, other than that, should be okay. He guaranteed me it'd be done by graduation time.
That's 3 or 4 months. So with that being an action item, we'll need a motion to consider the sound projection and lighting for the auditorium.
I'll make the motion that we use permanent school funds to hire this big picture AVL to upgrade our auditorium.
Stephanie makes a motion. Second. Cody seconds it. All in favor?
Thank you all very much.
Do they put the flashing lights on out there at the football field too?
There you go. There you go. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Next action item, consider resolution to purchase a 66-foot by 125-foot parcel of real property at 602 Washington Avenue, city of Jayton, Kent County, Texas, from owner Timothy Snyder.
So this is the,
They got it done.
this is the little yellow house that burned out, behind Jody and Summers and across the street from Joe and Connie. Timothy Snyder, I learned in the conversations, is an old guy like me. And, everything was ready to go, and then David Backus said, yeah, it all looks great, except you cannot pay the ad valorem taxes for the current year on behalf of the owner. So we were all set to pay $9,450, and so I called Timothy, and he said, if just left to you and me, we'd have shaken hands 3 months ago and it'd be done. And I said, I know. I said, would you just take $10,000 and you pay your ad valorem back taxes and we'll be done? And he said, yeah, let's do it. So that's the plan, and we'll have possession of that property. Well, I say that. Then it'll go to the abstract office, which they still have the Beza thing in their hands. We're ever gonna get that closed, but once we get possession of the property, then I'll communicate with Judge Coulter to coordinate with the county for the clearing of the property. And then, in my thinking, is, what I'm thinking is then we have both of those properties cleared, we make decisions about putting some kind of housing there and try to offload the oldest houses that we own, move those off of our plate and move newer houses onto the plate. And have, my thinking is keep enough houses for our employees, but not more houses than our employees need, and try to get those other ones on the tax roll and out of our maintenance queue. So this is part of that process, if you're willing.
So we'll need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution to purchase the property at Washington Avenue.
Kenzie makes a motion, Jody seconds it, all in favor?
Thank you.
It'd be so nice to see that corner cleaned up.
Mhm.
That's awful.
There's another one right over here.
Yes, there is.
Next, we'll move on to an action item. Consider resolution to post a request of qualifications for design build service for design and construction of 2,040 square foot residence to be used as a teacherage, either ready built or pier beam to be placed on current footings.
If I heard a conversation at our last meeting correctly, then I think I heard that you preferred the 4-bedroom over the 3-bedroom. And so that's the one I've dropped in your board packet. So if you approve this action item, then tomorrow or the next day, whenever I can get contact with Mike Heineman, I'll take Heineman's specifications for that house, and that'll become part of the bid packet, and we'll post in the paper for 2 weeks for people that want to make a run at that. I have had conversations this week. Well, I touched base with Bradley Harris last Friday that bought the house. And I just texted him, I said, you do remember you bought a house over here in Jayden, right? And he said, yeah, I have the footings ready for it. He said, I'm working with Joe Madewell to try to get a plan in place. I contacted Joe Madewell and he said, we're getting ready to move. Is the electricity been cut off? Yes. Has the water been cut off? Yes. He said, is there a place in the county I can put the bricks? And I said, well, let us find out. And so Andy contacted Nathan and he said, we have a place, I don't know where, but it sounds like probably a washout somewhere or another that they can put bricks and not trash. And so I think that'll happen here fairly quickly now. It better happen quickly because he's supposed to get it done by December 31st. But, well, I'll get the bid process going on the house which is this action item. If you.
So we'll need a motion.
So moved.
Roy makes a motion.
A second.
Kenzie seconds, all in favor? Next will be a discussion item, update from Specialized Public Finance, Inc., SPFI, on the financing plan for the issuance of Series 2026 bonds related to transportation bond.
So Vince Vial and Jason Paul that work with Specialized Public Finance. After we get through with this next item, a discussion item, setting the dates, they'll be at our January meeting to talk to you. But or either that or by Zoom. They may Zoom in, I'm not sure, but you saw the calendar of their stuff. What they're telling me is looking at our situation, and they're very aware of the fact that we use public permanent school funds to pay a bonded indebtedness. They think the best thing to do is once we're ready to hit the marketplace with those bids, they call them bank bids. They shop it to banks before they do personal individual investors first. And my guess is they do shop it with banks because banks recognize it as an extremely safe place to put money. And so I think that's what you'll hear from them in January. But no action needed on your part tonight, other than just to be aware that they'll be here or be visiting with us on January at whatever meeting date we establish to give you the ins and outs.
Okay, thank you. The next will be a discussion item, meetings dates for spring 2026, January. I guess look through those dates and then if anybody has any qualms with them,
The two of you that have the most, the trickiest problem is BJ and Andy, because they have kids
Junior
in
high,
junior
yeah.
high and high school. All those dates will have some kind of conflict, depending on what your children are involved in and whether or not you intend to be at those events or not.
That March 16th, is that, it says spring break, is that?
That's the Monday of spring break, yes.
Okay,
And I'm not married to any of those dates. I mean, I want the date that we can get the most of you together and make quorum. I'll pull my calendar up.
Any of those work for me.
Pardon?
Any of those work for me. For now.
19th is better for me, January.
January.
Which one? 19?
19th.
January 12th is an option. If you'd rather, that's the Monday in front of that. If that's a better date for you, it doesn't.
That's fine too.
19th or 12th,
No preference here.
I want it earlier and
Just listening to the conversation with the architect from, or on our baseball field and stuff, I'd say the 19th might be.
give them enough time to get all their stuff together.
Oh, good.
19th is good,
Okay.
Mr. Coulter.
January 19, okay?
February 16th.
Good. Mm,
Yeah. Don't work calendar that far yet.
Well,
That's President's Day. I don't know if y'all go on holiday as they do in Europe. I'm on holiday.
16th works for me.
February 16th?
that's fine, we can schedule it and we can discuss it next month if we need to change it.
Yep.
Or in January. March 16th is.
That's the Monday of spring break.
Some people
If
don't-
you care, doesn't matter to me.
So I don't know. Don't you go snow skiing or spring?
Or Christmas. Already that checked off the list.
That is usually the state tournament too. Is it before? or after?
Jamie looked at that.
For that. It would be going in that weekend. It's that Thursday
For the,
before
Okay.
we go
Well-
in. Yes, sir.
Do we want to do it that week or
It didn't matter to me.
do y'all want to do it the week after? Is anybody going anywhere? We can't, speak for those things. We-
23rd is fine with me. We'll be out of basketball and then we have junior high track meet that day on the 23rd
Oh, here.
here. Yeah.
so 16th. Maybe that, you think, I don't know.
What's the 9th? Is that too early?
Not for me.
Not works for me too.
Yeah, then
And if we're if we're close to the state playoffs, there could be a playoff game prior to the state tournament on that Monday. We'll know.
You know, there is.
Y'all are probably more aware of this than I am. Will we run into Gordon again like we did last year? And that'll be the second round?
Mhm.
We'll
We'll
know.
know the second week. Playoffs.
But wait a minute, so on February, we picked the 16th.
School holiday.
Would that be the second round?
No, it looks like
No,
Varsity
we're still
boys
playing
play after
basketball.
on
Still playing
17th,
district
so-
basketball at that time, so we won't know. but-
it might be girls playoffs at that point.
Close would be.
Yeah, it could be.
They pencil in and just change it as we need. We're gonna have to be flexible.
Pencil it on which date?
February 16th and March 9th.
Okay, March 9th, okay.
April 20th, I'm good with
April 20th.
that. Well, Kinsey,
March,
regional tennis.
wait, April 20th?
Regional tennis is that date.
That's the first day of regional tennis too.
Yeah, so I feel like
You'll-
somebody will be there.
I feel like we'll have several
Mhm.
folks there.
Regional golf.
Regional golf on the
Every-
third.
Did we go long that first day though, or was it fairly short?
We went, actually, it was
long.
dark.
So it was dark. The second day is the day that's not quite
That
as.
it ended a lot earlier.
It rained all day.
That was the rain delay day, yes.
And cold.
Mhm.
We didn't start playing till the 7 o'clock.
We had something when I was here. I didn't go the first day.
We don't have anything
So-
on the evening of April 13th.
Okay,
No schedule right now.
I'm good at that.
April 13th,
Sounds good.
and then
Girls Regional Golf. Area 2 State Qualifying Wildlife Contest. Well, that's all, the 13th.
Sunday's the only day open.
Yeah.
Not most of the time, no.
Right.
In the spring. In the spring. they're-
Sunday morning at 6 a.m.
Yeah, y'all just have to do it.
well, and by new law, I mean,
You can't do it before.
you can't do it during a
Yeah.
workday.
Yeah.
Can't do it during the workday. Which is not gonna be a problem for small districts, but a lot of those big districts, their board would meet in the middle of a business day.
Find the day without conflict in the spring. Good.
May 18th. State UIL is the conflict that I can see that's obvious. Any of you think you might be going to Austin to watch a child or listen to a child?
Okay, works for me.
I won't.
May 18 work?
I'm 18.
Okay, we'll tentatively pencil those in. That's all I got, President Scott.
Well, May 18th, that will be election board member.
Yeah.
May, right?
Say that again.
That we'll have the election results.
We, I'm glad you mentioned that. So the election,
Has to happen after 11 days or something after
is that
the
election?
count.
Is that the first Saturday?
It's early.
Or
It's early.
So your vote count has to happen so many days.
first Saturday in May? So it's the 2nd of May. And we have to canvass the votes between 3 and 11 days after that.
So it'll
I'm
have to
glad
be
you brought
earlier.
that up because 18th would be outside that window. If you wanna meet in such a way where we can canvass the votes
4th or
of the election,
Looking at the 11th.
the 11th would be a better
What was the
choice.
February day?
16th.
16th.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to do May the 11th.
The 11th of May would be a better choice than the 18th unless you wanna have 2 meetings then. I'm glad you thought of that.
Deal.
Everybody good?
I'm good.
That discussion with those dates. Did you get all of them, Mr. Humphries?
I did, yes.
Okay.
I feel like a failure. Our meeting went over 2 hours long.
Okay.
When I saw the agenda, I thought it might be longer.
I'm blaming it on the architect.
An hour of that was you talking about.
I know.
I guess we don't need to go to
That's good.
executive.
I listened to you talk just as I watched John Wayne.
I guess we don't need to go to executive session for anything.
Nope.
Anybody? We'll need a motion to,
I make a motion that we adjourn?
Stephanie makes a motion to adjourn. I second it. All in favor?
All right, thank you all for your service and your time and your confidence in us.